Hello.
Hello,
Welcome
guys.
to the show.
Hi.
It's a guy and his wife.
It's a guy and his wife.
A guy and his wife returns.
Mm-hmm.
We are here. We're going to be talking about the Batman. We got a early fan viewing or whatever, but I mean, come on. Like, we're not special. Like, thousands of people
No.
across the country saw the movie tonight. Like,
Yeah.
so.
It was kind of cool, though.
Yeah, I mean,
to
it
be able
was
to see it, like, early.
a couple days early. You know, we'd be able to get this podcast out a little bit early, but we're going to be talking about the Batman as we have just come hot off the heels of viewing it. As you can see, we're in the main WBC studio, but a guy and his wife is going to be returning more regularly once Emma gets her studio kind of worked out, because we swapped spaces, so we're kind of like in the midst of changing. And obviously, you know, if you listen to any of our other stuff, you'll know that this is a mess right now. But
yeah, I feel like there's like so many things to talk about, like so many updates for a guy and his wife that we are going to talk about, and we're going to let you guys in on like what's going on.
Yeah.
But Gabe really wanted to like skip intros, skip updates, skip what we've been up to, and just like go right into talking about the movie, because we just saw it and he's like ready to talk about it. So
yeah, and we haven't done like a setup like this before, like with the both of us in the same room, you know, like this in a while. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. It is what it is. I just want to get something out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a good time to announce the return of a guy and his wife as well. So I had one of the most proudest moments ever. I tweeted about it. You can follow me on Twitter at Wannabe Critic. You said, after I came out of the bathroom and I had to pee, you were like, okay, I have an idea. Let's not say anything until we get home about, like, we didn't even say if we liked it or not in the car ride home, like nothing.
No.
So everything you're hearing right now, this is me and her for the first time talking about it.
Also, I just want to apologize because it's past 11 and usually I'm in bed by now, so I'm sorry if I yawn or anything.
Just don't yawn right into the microphone and I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
So The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves is the same guy who did the Planet of the Apes trilogy, the most recent one, from the past, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I really, really liked those. I was really, really excited when I found out that he was the one that was going to be doing the Batman.
Are those like the biggest movies he's directed? He's
done some other stuff too, but nothing else. I don't want to reach for the computer. I can't remember a lot off the top of my head, but he's the real deal. Starring Robert Pattinson, as well as Zoe Kravitz and Colin Farrell. I don't know if he was as big of a star. I mean, he's on the poster, but he definitely doesn't have as big of a role as they do. Also, Jeffrey Wright, a.k.a. Beatty, plays Commissioner Gordon. He has a pretty big role. And there's some pretty good names in here. John Turturro plays Falcone, as they call him. I always call him Falcone. So yeah, there's some big names. I thought it was a pretty solid cast. It's a reputable cast.
Yeah, and this will be kind of an interesting discussion because Gabe is, as I'm sure a lot of you know, a diehard Batman fan. Batman is your favorite superhero, correct?
It is true. He is my favorite. He's always been my favorite.
Yeah, so, and this is going to be so embarrassing to say, but I just did not grow up watching Batman.
What Batman movies is like The Dark Knight like the only Batman movie you've seen that you can remember?
Yeah, so I like have like scenes of like one of the really old Batmans with like the penguin in it.
Okay.
It's really weird.
Danny DeVito's penguin?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I only saw like
I am Oswald Cobblepot.
I only saw parts of that, and yeah, like I feel like I've seen like maybe like scenes from some of them, and I know the general idea, but like I do not know a lot about like Batman. Like we watched The Dark Knight when we were dating because you were like that was one of your favorite movies and you couldn't believe that I hadn't seen it.
Yeah. And you fell asleep in it.
Yeah, I don't really remember it.
Yeah.
So this is really embarrassing to admit because like I would love to be that person that's like, yeah, I know all about Batman and comics and like I know all about everything. I really don't.
It's not as flattering as it seems.
Well, I don't know. I think all of it is really cool. I just genuinely don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I'm excited to talk about this movie, because maybe I will be more inclined to know now after seeing this movie.
So, did you like it?
I loved it.
Did
you like it?
There were so many things about this movie that I loved. Like,
and we're not going into spoilers yet.
The first half of the discussion is gonna be spoiler free, and the second half will be, we'll let you know that there's spoilers incoming. So let's just kind of get like the broad story out of the way. Okay. So as seen in the trailers, Riddler, he is threatening in some way. He is the main threat of this story.
Which I had never even heard of that villain before.
Yeah.
So that shows you how much I know.
Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, and Batman meet up, and for a specific reason, and they kind of that's kind of where they start. And this is supposed to be a year 2 Batman, so there's a lot of it puts me in kind of an interesting place, like mentally, for the character, because year 1 Batman is so definitive, like super famous comic, like really, really famous graphic novel, series of comics. And you get a very clear idea of who Batman is.
Okay.
He's kind of rough around the edges. He's a little green, and this year 2 Batman kind of takes a lot of those same ideas, and just goes a completely different direction with it. Matt Reeves is on record saying that, the inspiration for Robert Pattinson's Batman was Kurt Cobain, and of course Something in the Way is featured, as one of the main themes of the movie. And after knowing that, there are certain shots where, he looks exactly like Kurt Cobain. It's weird.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to the story. That's kind of the general thing. The Penguin's thrown in there in some way, shape, or form, and it's, kind of building to this bigger plot. So I want to talk about the plot first.
Okay.
Because I kind of have issues with it.
Okay.
It's super duper messy. Like, just getting that out of the way right now. Like, this is almost like watching a Christopher Nolan movie, but not like a Batman movie. It's like watching Inception. Like, if you're not paying super duper close attention, you're going to miss something.
Yeah.
And
totally.
I think, like, trying to string together specific details to get to, like, the conclusion. Were you struggling with that at all?
What's so weird about that, though, is that I'm usually the one that, like, I have such a hard time following, like, intricate plots and, like, knowing what's going on. But I never, ever didn't know what was going on, or, like, struggled to, like, understand what was happening in this movie ever. Like, I did not struggle with the plot, like, whatsoever, which is weird because I usually do struggle with plots, like, in intricate movies.
Yeah, and I don't think it's... I just want to say this at first. I really liked the movie a lot, like, as a whole. I think it's really, really, really well shot. Super great action movie. I just don't know how I feel about it as a Batman movie right now. I need to watch it again.
Okay.
But at the heart of this movie is one of, like, the best detective noir stories I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like it takes the detective, like, noir. It was almost like True Detective, almost. Like,
exactly.
Kind of takes that and, like, throws, like, this mobster vibe into it. And, like, many, many times never once did I think that this was a Batman movie first.
Yeah. That was, like, kind of my thing, too. But I think that's why I liked it, was because it was so, like, it did not feel like a superhero movie. And I like that. It felt like not that superhero movies aren't legit, but it just felt like real and like...
it's by and far the best DC movie that's come out. Like,
it felt...
since The Dark Knight, probably. It has no previous DNA of what we've seen, like, with the Justice League or...
Yeah, none at all.
None of that. And I'm not saying that stuff's bad. I'm just saying that that's not what this is.
Well,
this is a grounded, like... very, very grounded story.
Those other movies are movies. This was a film.
Totally.
That's how I view it.
Totally.
Like, this was like art is how I felt.
It honestly, it reminds me of, like, the praise that the original Batman movie, the 1989 Batman movie that Tim Burton did, is widely renowned as being so many people's favorite Batman movie, and like he's the best Batman. That's the one that's the most well shot. And the only thing the entire time I was thinking, I'm like, this doesn't make me think of any other Batman movie, but it makes me feel how the 1989 Batman movie does.
Yeah.
Just very, the Riddler. I want to talk about. I don't want to like jump all over the place. Like I want to kind of stick to one thing at a time. So let's talk about like the Batman himself, Robert Pattinson.
Okay.
Because I have a lot to say about this. I mean, the movie's called The Batman.
Right.
So you go first.
Yeah, I will go first because what you have to say will probably be a lot more in depth than what I have to say, which is just that he's hot, and I thought he did a really good job being the Batman. The Batman, he's the only Batman I need.
Wow.
Cut that out.
No, I'm not. I'm not making any cuts to this show anymore. We already restarted once for you.
Oh my god. Okay. Sorry, I'm just a little off my game tonight because I'm just so tired.
I don't want to hear any excuses.
Okay. Well, I liked him, and I thought he did really good.
He was so brooding to the point where I just could not take him seriously in multiple aspects.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I mean, especially like there were a lot of moments where I totally bought it. But like the thing that makes Batman work is the other side of the coin, which is Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne that's not who he is. Like Bruce Wayne is the alter ego. Like Batman is Batman. That's where he can become his true self and like do the things he really wants to do.
So Bruce Wayne isn't like depressed and like
No, Bruce Wayne puts on a happy face and like, is happy to do press and
even
like,
in his early life?
Yeah, I mean, he was disconnected. He was traveling abroad mostly whenever he was younger. So, that's kind of where he was learning, like, fighting techniques and stuff like that. He did a bunch of stuff. That's a pretty common telling of the character's, backstory and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So whenever, like, there's a scene where he pulls up to a bunch of press and they're like, oh, Mr. Wayne, and, like, he doesn't even acknowledge them. And that just seemed so un-Bruce Wayne to me. He just seemed like such a punk. Like, in many, many ways. And I understand, like, this is a very, like, psychological depiction and like psychological, one of the first scenes that they show, something happens and you can tell Batman is taking this from here on out, like within 5 minutes Batman is taking things personally. Like,
yeah,
within the first 5 minutes it's like, oh god, like something happens, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
In the spoiler section. I'm not saying he was bad, I just wanted to see more versatility because it was just so one-sided and so emo. I mean, like, so un-Batman. Batman isn't a baby. Like, he is, but he doesn't, like, really let that... I wasn't ever really intimidated. I thought he looked cool, but he rarely, like, scared me. There were a handful of scenes where I was like, okay, like, I can see the vision, And there's no denying that he's cool.
Okay.
But I don't know, like there was just, and I'm not saying he's a bad actor, it was just very, very one-sided to me. And you can't have a one-sided Batman. Like, can't work.
Well, okay. Do you think it's okay for them to depict Batman / Bruce Wayne differently than like maybe your idea of him? Like, do you think that with comics in general, like, do you think it's okay to depict them and the characters in different ways?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been different depictions of Batman. Everyone kind of always had a different take on how to do it. And I get, the theme of him kind of, his family history being a thing, and like what happened to his parents and all this other stuff. You can tell he's never really gotten over that in this movie. And I've always kind of liked the idea that Batman is just as crazy as the people that he's trying to take down.
Yeah.
And, that's why certain villains, like, that's why the Joker, like, identifies with him so much.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that type of thing. So, I don't think it's wrong. I don't think he just kind of seemed like a giant wuss in a lot of aspects to me. He's a good looking guy, obviously. I mean, he like I said, it was to the point of almost being laughable to me in some aspects.
Sorry. I think that it is trying to draw an entirely new group of people to Batman. Like, think about this next generation, like Gen Z.
Totally.
I'm technically Gen Z.
Uh-huh.
So, like, think about that generation and what appeals to them.
Well, yeah, but there's like fundamentals of being like a...
Yeah, no, totally.
That's what I was thinking.
I totally see your side.
That's what I was thinking too, is like, you know, this seems like this is the Gen Z's Batman, basically. Like, there's a moment where he approaches someone as Bruce Wayne, and, you know, Bruce Wayne's confident. Like, you know, he puts on the guise of confidence.
Yeah,
and it seemed like...
That's not at all how he was.
It wasn't. And
but
I get, like, he's younger,
that's why I liked him, and I don't think I would have liked him if he was the way that you're saying.
I don't know, man. And this is the thing too, is I think this movie is going to be super polarizing for Batman fans, because I don't think he sucks as Bruce Wayne.
And I think that anyone who is a Batman fan watching this is going to hate all my takes, because, like, I definitely think that I'm coming in with fresh eyes. I know nothing really about Batman, and so, like, I'm coming in entirely fresh from all this, and I'm not going to, like, have all those deep-seated feelings that, like, people like you will. And I completely, like, understand where you're coming from, and, like, that does suck for you.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that it probably sounds like I'm
but
hating
it's awesome for me.
Well, that's the thing, is, like, it probably sounds like I'm hating it, and, like,
no, it doesn't sound like that.
I didn't hate it. I just think it was a really bold choice to direct him that way, and
it was bold.
Like, you're really rolling the dice directing him that way. Because here's the thing, like, I've read umptillion Batman comics where it's been like, oh, that's a kind of an interesting way to write him, you know? Like, there's usually... And I get trying to bring new life into the character, and maybe he can get to that point. Maybe this is a growing pain, but it's like, he's almost 30. Like, he's almost 30 years old. And I feel like I could beat him up. I know I couldn't, but it's like, I want to beat him up. Because he can't even freaking look at someone in the eye, like, to talk to them. Because he's so brooding. That's what irritated me. Was like, that's not Bruce Wayne. Yeah,
but for me, it felt relatable.
Well, yeah.
He felt very, like, relatable to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy for you. I didn't connect with him at all as Batman or Bruce Wayne. Like, the things he was doing were really cool, but I don't know. He's honestly kind of like...
Do you have any positives to say about him?
No, I think he did a good job in, like, embodying... I think he was I have less of a problem with him as Batman. I think he did a lot of cool things as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he could really develop it and kind of come into his own. It was just whenever he was Bruce Wayne that I felt like... It's like, okay, we have Batman, and we have Batman without a mask on. Like, he's not even trying to conceal, you know... He's not even trying to be a different person, and that's a fundamental core character thing with Batman, is like, by day he is Bruce Wayne, by night he is who he's really supposed to be, you know. And I mean, I guess he can grow into that role and kind of do that, and, you know, take on, like, get more confidence. It just didn't feel like he was confident at all.
I feel like, are these spoilers, even saying all this stuff?
What are you talking about?
Like, isn't this a spoiler, even talking about this part of it?
I don't think so.
Okay, I just would hate for people to watch this and, like, think that there's no spoilers, and then...
I don't think it's a spoiler. I mean, we're just being broad about what we saw.
Okay.
But nothing, you know, people will watch this and then watch the movie, and, you know, I hope that people will see kind of where I'm coming from, because
they definitely will. They will not see where I'm coming from. I promise you.
One thing is, I don't want to say he did a bad job. I don't think he did a bad job. I think it was written very strange, and it's a bit obtuse at times for me personally.
Okay. Gotcha.
But that being said, I don't think he's a bad Batman, like, or a bad. I think he fits in this universe, especially for my next reason. I want to talk, or, you know, what did you have? You already said you like Pattinson, so I've always closely, Gotham is Batman's city, and I've always kind of thought that relationship between the world and the character is really, really complex, because he kind of feeds off of the grime of Gotham City. Like, that's what makes Batman tick. Like, he takes out those criminals, he does this thing, and he wants to make Gotham a better place. And, it all stems from something that happened to him as a kid, And I think this depiction of Gotham makes it to where he fits very well in the world. Gotham is very brooding and, like, very unforgiving and very, like, dark. And I feel like he fits very well with the grime aspect. And, like, there's moments of kind of taking on the big bad in this movie where you can tell he realizes that this is something bigger than just taking down common criminals.
Right.
This is for real. Like, this is life or death, and that type of thing. Were you going to go ahead and say something?
No, I was just going to agree with that fact. I think the whole movie is very dark.
Oh, very, very. I mean,
so
I think it's every bit as dark, if not darker, than The Dark Knight.
It was scary how, like, real it felt.
Yeah.
To me, like, I literally was, like, scared that it was real.
Yeah, well, Paul Dano, like, kills it as the Riddler.
He was so scary.
Like, he really, they did a really good job of making good use of modern technology and making it feel noir and making it feel like a detective movie. And they took one thing that a lot of these Batman movies have done in the past is they take, like, a lot of core ideas from a lot of different stories and try and, like, mash them all together, and it never works. And there was only a couple of things here where I kind of saw what they were trying to pull from, where I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. But for the most part, they took a bunch of core ideas from a bunch of different stories and totally made it work.
That's cool.
There were times, like I said, there were times where I felt like it was a bit cluttered.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss stuff.
Yeah.
Key aspects. But for the most part, yeah. I mean, I thought it was, for that part, I thought it was really awesome.
Yeah, the Riddler, like, is such a good villain because he's literally just crazy. Like, he's just psychotic.
Yeah.
Psychotic serial killer, which is, like, very real and
with a purpose, and
yeah.
Just kind of, I don't know, it felt very intense.
And just with,
on the
like,
detective
the
side.
social media aspects
Yeah.
and, like, all of that, it just felt like, oh my gosh, this could happen, like, today.
Yeah, exactly. Which, don't get too much more away.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because that's a spoiler.
Oh.
I mean, ish.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry.
I'm joking. No, I'm just saying, like, he's a very believable bad guy, and, he's a terrorist. Like, he is a very, very believable, like, terrorist. So, we talked about Pattinson and Gotham and kind of the plot a little bit. Let's talk about the side characters for just a second. So, Selena Kyle and Colin Farrell. How did you feel that these characters fit into this story?
Selena Kyle meaning
Catwoman.
Yeah. I was a little confused about the Penguin situation. I don't know how to talk about this without giving spoilers. Are we just talking about them as characters?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, do you think they do well?
Yeah,
I
think
together?
the actors themselves are fit great in the role. I think they did a really good job.
Yeah.
I like the way they were casted.
Colin Farrell is, like, the perfect Penguin.
Yeah.
Like, just his dialogue and, without giving away his role too much and what
Yeah.
he's doing, like, just the way he interacts and the way they totally made him look completely different. I really, really liked his story. I believe he's getting a HBO show as well, like a spinoff show.
Penguin?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
I'm pretty sure, because I think, there's, we'll get to it in a second, but there's definitely a story there for sure. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do.
I love Zoe Kravitz. Like, I already loved her, and so I really loved her as Catwoman.
I think that relationship, because again,
And I thought they had really good chemistry.
I'd say the chemistry has to be right between Catwoman and Batman, and that was one thing that I wasn't sure about at first, but as the movie went on and their relationship built, it felt a bit rushed to me in some aspects, but we don't need to spend a ton of time getting there, because we know that they're supposed to do the thing that they're doing. I mean, the thing that they do in the comics, like that's what they're doing. You know, kind of doing this dance of "Are we going to be together?" type thing, and which you know you can tell that by the commercials. You know that's kind of what they're going for. But I thought she genuinely did really well performance wise too. I mean, I thought she totally killed it as Selena Kyle. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Selena Kyle is very much like kind of the sweet talking, like get on your good side, like try and wrap you around her finger and like can get you just, you know, can have you smitten, you know, with just a few words. And I thought she totally killed it. And I wasn't really a Zoe Kravitz fan, like whatever. But I thought she did a really, really good job.
Yeah, me too.
So we kind of talked about like the baseline stuff, and like you said, it's really hard to get into stuff without talking about spoilers. So we're gonna have to pause our recording here for just a second, anyways. So here's your last chance, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't want to get spoiled on this movie, we kind of whetted your appetite a little bit, hopefully. If you don't want to get spoiled on this movie, now's the time. Turn it off. Go watch the movie. Come back. Whatever. If you don't care about spoilers and you want to stick around, you know, here we go. Like, there's nothing that is going to be held back, you know, so right now. So anyways, I'm going to pause this just for a second and then we'll resume really fast. Okay, the spoiler section. Here we are. I just want to talk about kind of, you know, the plot a little bit more with spoilers. So Bruce Wayne, you know, he's taking care of, you know, he's feeding off that grime of Gotham City like we were talking about, and he's kind of making his way up, and there these, you know, weird killings start showing up, and you know, the Riddler is addressing the note to the Batman each time. You know, you can tell he's using the Batman to try and take down this big, you know, organization, essentially, crime organization, and the Riddler is using Batman to kind of help him do this. But, you know, the Riddler's killing people to have this happen. So, you know, for the Riddler storyline, we're going to kind of go character by character. So, like, for the Riddler storyline, he essentially thinks that him and Batman have been working together this entire time. Like, he's obsessed with Batman.
Right.
And, which that's a pretty common thing in the comics as well. Like, that's usually how it goes. Not them teaming up, but, you know, the Riddler being obsessed with him. So, essentially, Batman, you know, all these murders start popping up, and they're all linked to essentially the Falcone crime family. But then you find out that Bruce Wayne's family is connected to this as well. And I, just for the sake of time, I just don't want to go into all the nitty gritty of it, but they worked all of this in a really, really clever way. Like, and they made all of these pieces be connected. So one strange choice I thought they made was they had Selena Kyle's dad be Falcone, whatever you want to call him. And I don't think that's a thing in the comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that kind of threw me for a loop because I couldn't remember that.
The movie didn't need that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was just... I feel like what they were trying to do was kind of like subconsciously unify Batman and Catwoman together because they're kind of both were burned by Falcone. And you find out Falcone had Thomas Wayne killed as well. Mm-hmm. So Falcone's like basically has everybody in his pocket, and that was what the Riddler was trying to do the entire time, was expose Falcone because he knew the truth somehow, which they never revealed how he knew. Did you catch that? Unless I'm missing something. I guess he just figured it out, you know?
Yeah.
But he knew. So he had the entire thing planned out to where he was going to be the one that pulled the trigger on Falcone and kills him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was obvious that this was the Riddler's life work. Yeah,
was trying to, like, take down...
So, I mean, that's...
Yeah, I mean, he had the entire thing planned out, which I thought was clever, but the big ending, you know, once the Riddler's caught, and, you know, he's in prison, and he explains what his grand master plan was, which essentially was to just flood Gotham City.
Yeah.
That was incredibly unsatisfying to me. I thought that was just not threatening at all. I mean, in the movie, you can literally see...
That did feel kind of weird. Like, right? I thought it would have been better to, like... He placed bombs in, like, super highly populated areas, or, like, was gonna bomb, like, the whole subway system. I don't know, just something, like, I don't know. the flooding seemed really, really odd.
It just totally threw off the cadence
Yeah.
of the entire movie, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
and again, like, this movie is 3 hours long. Like, it is a long movie, and there are some amazing aspects to it, like, for sure, and we're gonna get into those for sure, specific things. But I feel like we could have shaved 25 minutes off this movie, like, across all 3 acts, in my opinion, to where we could have gotten it down to 2.5 hours. Because they really take their time with some of those more. And I don't want to take away from the cinematography, because I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Like,
one of my favorite parts of it.
The car chase scene where the Penguin is running away from Batman, and their interaction, you just see what's happening, and like the kind of the hodgepodge Batmobile. It's like Mad Max style almost, like just so freaking rad. And they're chasing each other, and you know that interaction you see in the trailers where he's like, "Ha, I got you, I got you." You know, I was like, and you know, at one point, Batman like crashes into him. Like once the chase gets started, and you know, Colin Farrell's like, "This guy's crazy," and like he starts laughing. It's just super relatable.
Yeah.
Like, Penguin was a really, really relatable character.
Yeah, Penguin was not what I thought Penguin was. The only Penguin I knew was like
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, from flashes of that movie. And I was like, wait, what?
I mean, you can
Penguin's
tell,
just like a person?
Yeah, like you cannot tell that this is Colin Farrell at all.
No.
Like, I mean, he freaking knocked it out of the park as the Penguin. And just kind of the whole interaction, you know, between him and the Batman, and essentially you find out like the Penguin is kind of Falcone's like right-hand man in a way, kind of managing a lot of stuff, and they're kind of all part of this organization together. So as Falcone's out of the picture, now Penguin can rise to power, you know, and that's kind of what his show is going to be about, I'm assuming.
So the Danny DeVito Penguin, is that the Penguin way later on, or is that just like a different
That's
depiction?
just a different depiction. We don't talk about that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Gotcha.
not great.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just one, you know, the way it's shot is so freaking like it's just incredible. Like my jaw was like on the floor.
Me too. I was
like in awe of what I was seeing.
I was too, and like that's why I did not mind how long it was, because I loved that, like, I didn't feel rushed. I was like fully immersed in this, and like nothing felt rushed to me. I was like getting lost in like the little moments, like at the end when they're both on their motorcycles. Batman and Catwoman are both on their motorcycles, and they're just like driving through this graveyard. I don't know. I just thought it was just really beautiful. Like I loved it.
It was beautiful, and I think they knew it was beautiful too. And you know, there were multiple times where I'm like, okay, that feels like I can place like 5, 6, 7, 8 scenes where I'm like, there's like 5 minutes of stuff that didn't really need to be in there, you know, like showing multiple angles of it raining in the city and like all this stuff happening, you know. And I understand like trying to add more context and breathe life into the world. I just feel like this is a movie that, I don't know, like the Dark Knight movies, they feel super long, and they are long. And I feel like with Batman movies, longer isn't necessarily better, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
For instance, like like we were talking about the flooding. Like the entire flooding aspect, I was like, man, this is just not how I thought this was going.
I could have done without the flooding entirely.
Yeah, and I understand like they're wanting to make a statement and say, you know, this is a terrorist organization, you know, the hero of Gotham, you know, like he is one with Gotham, and you know, now people can look towards, you know, the hopeful side, and you know, he's not just vengeance, like he is a beacon of hope now.
Yeah, and it definitely like set up for a lot more movies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
With that type of beginning.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We did get a little teaser towards the end of the Riddler talking to someone who was laughing maniacally.
Yeah, so who was that?
I think it was the Joker.
You thought it was Timothée Chalamet.
As the Joker.
It sounded like his voice.
It sounded like a young, it sounded like a young person. I'm thinking
it definitely wasn't him, though.
It wasn't him?
Well, no, I don't think so.
I mean,
It didn't look like him at all.
well, you couldn't even see his face. All you could see was like his teeth grinning.
Oh, well.
I mean, maybe I'm completely off.
It sounded like his voice, but I don't think that was Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know who it was.
Wouldn't they have put it in the credits?
Probably, maybe not.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like, to put Joker in the credits, like, that would be a very...
That's true.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I feel like they're just kind of leaving that there, saying, like, yeah, like, he's out there, you know?
Yeah.
He's doing his thing. But, I don't know, man. This is one of those movies where I feel like I definitely gotta watch it again, you know, so that I can process everything, because it's just so much that happens. I loved how it was a detective movie first.
Yeah, it felt like Sherlock to me, and that's why I liked it. Like, because I went in there not really knowing anything, and you had told me that, like, Batman's known for being a really good detective, which I never knew that about Batman. I thought he just, like, fought crime or whatever.
He's world's greatest detective.
Yeah. And so then when it was actually, like, he was getting into the crime scenes and, like, picking up stuff, I was like, this feels like Sherlock right now. Like, I was loving it because I am, like, I love, like, dark crime shows like that. So that, I think, is what really, like, hooked me, was that whole vibe. I just loved that so much. And that's why it didn't feel like it didn't make me feel the way superhero movies usually make me feel. Like, this was just, like, felt like a really good movie.
Yeah, I agree. The biggest thing about this movie is that I feel like it could have been anybody. Like, the biggest thing I don't like about this movie is I feel like it didn't have to be the Batman. Like, it could have been literally anybody doing these things, like a detective, you know, aside from, like, the car chase. But I don't know. I love the detective aspect of it. Like I said, I'm going to need to watch it again before I can pass judgment on how I feel about it as, like, a Batman movie, I think.
Okay.
Where do you think it's, like, weakest? Get up on that mic.
I know. I don't know. I was trying really hard to, like, find faults in it, like, things I didn't like. And I was just having a really hard time because I was just enjoying the movie, truthfully.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, like, pick out anything that I didn't like particularly.
I feel like I was immersed the entire time, and there were only, like, a handful of times where I felt like it was off. Like, I feel like there was an attempt at humor a few times, which... That's, you know, Batman stories usually do have a sense of humor to them. Like, at one point he grabs Catwoman's, you know, he's, like, putting, like, these eye things on her, and, you know, he, like, grabs her face, and he's, like, looking at her, and it's, like, kind of like a swelling of music and stuff, and he's, like, okay, he's, like, you know, not trying to be romantic at all.
Right.
You know, just, like, checking the gear, but they had set us up for that. Mm-hmm. There are a couple other, like, small little jokes that I don't know if they landed every single time. But for the most part, I feel like it's a good movie whenever, kind of like you said, you know, and this is something, it's probably much easier for you because it's like, this is something we do every week, you know, where we sit down and watch something, you know, me and the other guys on the other podcast, we like sit down and watch something and
pick it apart.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not always in a bad way. It's more of just kind of taking something apart and putting it back together.
Yeah, no.
You know, and
sure.
I think the fact that I was like immersed, I was pretty much immersed the entire time up until about the last 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like it's coming to a close, and then it just keeps going for like another 15 minutes, you know, 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I know. I struggle with, like, watching things with a critical eye because I like to just watch things to enjoy them, and then if I don't like them, I don't like it, you know?
Yeah.
But, so I struggle. I'm not, like, the best critic, that's for sure. But,
Me either.
Yeah, but I mean, you, like you said, you do it every week, so
Yeah.
you're much more, like, accustomed to it. But yeah, I mean, there's just not that many things that I had picked out that I didn't like.
My biggest compliment to the movie, I feel like for me, is like I've never seen anything like it before. Like I've never.
Yeah.
It's not like they directly were trying to pick something. The way it was shot, it genuinely looked like panels of a comic book, like so many times, you know. especially like a good Batman, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo, that's kind of what it reminded me of, was like a very dark noir Batman graphic novel, like almost like The Long Halloween, very cinematic and definitive. Like you never question if that's Gotham City,
Right.
like it is, just by the way they set everything up. And I feel like the fact that I'm so conflicted about the movie is like a good thing, because I really, really liked it. I'm giving like a really mixed review, but I really, really, really enjoyed the movie as a whole, and I think it really does work for fans of DC Comics. And I wanted to see, I don't know, I wanted it to feel more Dark Knight-ish, and it felt more like Nightwing-ish to me, like just more kind of angsty. And I've never really seen a live-action angsty Bruce Wayne ever, so it's just really strange as a lifelong Batman fan.
You've never seen a live action one, so are there comics where he's angsty?
I mean,
is that what you mean by that?
I can't ever recall a depiction of Bruce Wayne acting like this ever. So there's a new one. Like here's our first story of him, or the first one I've ever consumed of him acting like this.
Yeah, it's just so weird because like since that is kind of my first like introduction to Batman, now that's how I want him to be. Like it's going to be hard for me to like see him another way, I think, because like this is
your Batman.
This is my like experience with Batman, and I like loved it. And so yeah, that's kind of weird to think about.
It's like there's a line from the Dark Knight where he's like, he's not the hero we deserve, but he's the one we need. And I feel like kind of like that symbiotic relationship between Gotham City and Batman, it's like he's really growing into that and kind of learning that he is that way, and realizing that's kind of like the only way he can find fulfillment, right, is doing these things. So I guess in a way it's like him only being Batman for a couple of years. I don't know. It's hard for me to imagine him training with Alfred, which Andy Serkis did a pretty good job as Alfred, I thought. I didn't think they had a ton of chemistry, personally.
Yeah,
that was kind of weak.
I would have liked more from that like relationship.
Yeah, well, and that's I feel like that might be kind of
because I know there's a lot there.
Yeah, there is, and I think that might be kind of the reason why I can't quite connect with him as Bruce Wayne, is we didn't really see much of any sort of backstory or anything, and what we saw in year one, or what we've read and seen in year one, is a lot different than where we find ourselves in a year two Batman. I feel like I said, there's so many strong points about the movie. It's incredibly immersive. That's the biggest compliment I can give it. And the things that I can't speak for all Batman fans, because all Batman fans are different, you yourself included. So
I'm a Batman fan now.
I did want to say though, as soon as it was over, I immediately wanted to watch it again.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, I have to watch this again.
I think that like, how if they make a movie based off a book, like a lot of times you want to read the book before you see the movie, because you're going to get way more out of the book than you will the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just go see the movie and don't read the book, a lot of times you can appreciate the movie for what it is more so than like the person that like read the book, because the person that read the book is going to be picking it apart in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I'm that person that just like went and saw the movie, and so I was able to just like enjoy it for what it was. Whereas like you and all those other Batman fans out there, which is like, I feel like most people are like Batman fans, and like they watched at least the Dark Knight movies and all those, and like loved those. So like for you guys, it's going to be much more of that experience of like, you can appreciate it, but you're going to have a lot more like complaints, and just like, you're going to notice more things to pick apart.
Yeah. When I think too, like the things that I wasn't crazy about, it's not like I'm opposed across the board. It's like, no, this is not my Batman. This sucks. Like, I hate this guy. It's just going to take me a while to warm up to this new style, because it is so different than anything we've seen before ever in live action. And it's just so different to the character of the comic book as well. Like, it's just, I don't know. It really does feel fresh. It feels fresh in a lot of ways, but I don't know, like, his suit, for one, like, it seemed did it seem kind of cheap to you? Like, it seemed like it was kind of like stuff that he could have bought at the store, like with his boots and stuff like that, you know, instead of, I don't know, it just didn't feel very...
Yeah, but I thought that was the point, because he's like just starting out as Batman, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he would kind of need to learn what works and what doesn't.
He doesn't even
work.
have his Batmobile yet or any of that stuff. You
Yeah.
know, like, this is like, because like all those, like a lot of the things you're saying, like, I acknowledged them, but like I didn't think anything of it, because he's supposed to be like brand new Batman, and he's like still, like, his whole brooding thing, like, he's just still very like damaged from what happened, and I don't know. That's
Well, I
just
mean,
kind of how I took it.
He's not sleeping. He's not, you know,
Yeah.
like, he's not in good health.
Right.
You know, he wakes up and has to wear sunglasses in the house.
And like, this new generation of people, like, we're all depressed, so like we all like can connect with him in a way. I think is kind of like the vibe that I got, is just that you said he's like super emo. Everyone in the world right now is emo.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. That's just kind of how I took it.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it, you know, it's just interesting to see just a younger Batman, you know, like this. And, you know, it's interesting to see him. You know, we saw him kind of be sloppy too. You know, there were a couple things where he totally messed up. You know, he got shot a couple of times. Like, it's like, man, if you wouldn't have had armor just then, you'd be dead.
Yeah. And I think that like they're just really trying to make they were really trying to make a point with this movie, because like you said, when you think of other DC movies like Batman and Wonder Woman and like all these, or sorry, Aquaman and Wonder Woman and like all these movies that have been coming out the past few years that are like DC, like, and they're all like pretty cheesy, you know? Like, I think they were trying to make a point with this and saying like, yeah, we can make like a real like good film like about Batman, and like there's more to come. There's more for you to look forward to.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're not just like a big joke.
Yeah. No, I do think cinematography wise, like, people are going to be talking about this for a long, long time, because it's by and far the best looking Batman movie. Like, and I mean, it just is, man. Like,
Yeah.
it is a beautiful disaster. Like, because one of the first things I noticed, like, man, this is really ugly. Like, you know, this world. But then you kind of start to realize, like, oh, like, this is the Gotham City from right off the pages of the comic book, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it works. There's so much about this movie that works, and I really, really like it. But I also feel like there is minor nitpicks that a lot of fans are going to have, and I think rightly so, because you're making a conscious decision to go in such a different direction than what's been done before, and I have to applaud them for trying something new. It'll just be interesting to see how well it pays off for them and what people are thinking.
People are gonna be so upset about it. Like,
Yeah.
for sure.
There's gonna be people that hate this movie.
Yeah, they're gonna hate it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
I think
mean,
way more people are gonna dislike it than like it. Personally, that's what I think.
And it's hard because, like, the detective aspect is something that hasn't been amazing in prior Batman movies.
Yeah.
Heck, you yawn.
You yawned in the microphone.
I know, I did.
What the heck?
Sorry. And I think this is the best it's ever been. Like, that's why, I'm happy it was a detective movie first, because that's ultimately what gains him, the trust of the commissioner, and that's ultimately what leads him to start working with Commissioner Gordon, is like he can solve these cases and he can do this thing. And it's just, it's interesting to see what they've set up, and I will definitely be there for the second movie whenever it comes out. And I'll definitely be going to watch it one, if not two more times. So
yeah, did we already say that we went and saw this in IMAX? And
we did go see it in IMAX.
So like,
I think that was
I personally hate IMAX. Like, I'm just not, like, my neck hurts from like trying to look back and look at everything, So that's not my favorite way to consume media, is at IMAX. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to go see it again, when I can just sit and watch it and not be this the whole time, trying to see everything on the screen. But the one thing I did like about the IMAX, though, was that the sound quality was really good.
I could feel it in my
which I really appreciated, because I hate not being able to hear what if someone's talking. I hate not being able to hear what they're saying, So I was glad that the sound was good, so that we could hear everything they were saying.
There'd be moments where Riddler was breathing into his microphone, and you could feel it in your seats.
Yeah,
and it was oh my god, this is really intense.
Right. Yeah. But then I was when we first sat down, I was oh my god, I'm gonna hate this. This is gonna be the worst 3 hours of my life, because I was just so uncomfortable, and I just hated it. But it was kind of crazy. Once the movie started and I got into it, I was wow, this is actually awesome. My neck just hurts really bad, but this is pretty cool.
That's the thing about IMAX, is even if you have the best seat in the house, you're still gonna be straining and looking around, your neck's gonna be sore.
I was just glad that this wasn't a crazy action-packed movie.
Yeah.
Because if it was, I think that I would have a horrible headache right now, honestly, from seeing it in IMAX.
Yeah.
But
even the car chase scenes were pretty palatable.
The car chase was so cool.
It was it might be my favorite car chase scene ever.
Yeah.
That was a very Batman feeling thing to me, was that car chase scene.
One scene that stuck out that I loved was after, the flooding, and Batman drops down into the water to help all the people out, and he's holding that flare, and it's bright red, and everyone's following him out. That was so cool.
Yeah.
I was that is a hero right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's becoming the Dark Knight. At this point in time, this is Batman in training. This isn't the guy. This is just some wannabe. For the most part, until we get to the end of the movie, and it's okay, he's donning.
People are following. People recognize that he's there to help them.
Yeah, and especially one thing we left out. The cops for the most part are all bought off.
Yeah.
So that's why I talk about that relationship between Gotham and its people with Batman, is they're kind of in it together.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, Batman's the only sane / person with integrity in a way, and the perfect person to try and oversee this crazy place.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, lots of really good things about the movie for sure, and I really enjoyed it. You critique the things you love.
Totally. Was there anything else you wanted to say about it before we...
Yeah, I think that's about it, honestly.
I wish that my brain was working better right now, because I know there were other things I wanted to talk about, but I'm so tired. I just can't think of what they were. But
yeah.
But
hold that thought.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, my thought was, the good news is that A Guy and His Wife is back, and it's different than it's ever been before, and so we're gonna kind of tell you guys about that. But basically, A Guy and His Wife is hopefully gonna be a weekly show, and Gabe's been trying to get me to do this for literally since we got married. Or since you started podcasting.
Well, since we started doing A Guy and His Wife.
Yeah.
Can we do this every week? And you're like, no.
I was just afraid to commit to it, because I already struggled to accomplish the things I'm supposed to accomplish on a weekly basis. But then, like, recently I just got to thinking, we love hanging out anyways. So, like, why not make this just like a weekly date night, basically, where we, and so anyways, the goal is to do it every week. Obviously we're gonna miss weeks here and there.
I mean, we're our goal, I would say the goal is to be every week, but like there's gonna be inconsistencies,
right?
Like, it's not gonna happen, especially starting out,
Yeah,
but, like, that's the goal, is we're gonna make a real effort to do it.
Really want to try, and really the base of the show is gonna be like current events, things that are trending, just things that people are talking about in the media.
But don't give away any of our ideas yet.
No, I won't.
I don't.
I'm just giving them a little tease.
Okay, I say I don't want them knowing what we're gonna be doing.
No.
It needs to be a surprise.
Okay, I'm just telling them so that they know to come back.
Yeah, please do.
So it's generally gonna be like current events. I don't know if you remember, we tried to do this thing called Trends of the Week like a long time ago, and we totally failed. But it's gonna be kind of like that, where we just talk about trends, and but there will also be other things that we do sometimes, like things like this, reviews of movies, games, like reviews of all kinds of things. Product reviews even.
Don't say anything else.
Okay.
I don't want them knowing what we're doing. But come back.
Okay. Sorry. I want to tell you guys, but he won't let me.
No. I want them.
All I want to say is that you can literally expect anything to happen on this podcast. Like,
I mean anything.
Not anything, but like anything. We have a lot of ideas, okay? And we want it to just be fun. And I'm not always going to be tired like this. Usually we're going to be doing this like midday, like not freaking at midnight.
And not in the dungeon.
Yeah. Yeah, we're like switching studios. So this used to be like my workspace, but this room has way more room, and Gabe needed more room, so we swapped spaces. So I'm now in what used to be his studio. So the idea was that we're going to use my studio for a guy and his wife to film in there. So, but it is completely like trash right now.
Yeah.
Kind of like this room. This room is such a mess.
I mean, my room is by and far better than what yours looks like.
Well,
I wanted to film in there with nothing on the walls.
It does. It looks like
in the walls,
it looks like a
prison. Why are you wanting to film in there? That makes no sense.
It looks like a prison in there right now, because I literally I took everything off the walls, and you guys remember from Gabe's videos, like he had so much crap on the walls, and so like I just took everything off. So there's like all these gaping holes in the wall. I need to like putty it, repaint it, decorate it. It's gonna be really cool once it's done, but it does not look good right now.
But for the time being, we'll probably be recording in here.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a little by little, like doing stuff, moving stuff around. Made a lot of progress today. It's coming together, but I mean, right now it's just kind of
we just don't have enough room.
Yeah,
we really need to because this room is also like our only storage that we have, and so right there is all of our storage, and it's just piled, and it's really stressing me out. Yeah. So we really need to get like a shed or something.
Yep, we do.
Anyways.
Well, at least it's getting done, because whenever you were in here, there was just way more stuff over there. Like,
that
it
is
was
true.
1,000 times worse in here.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's okay. Well, it'll be better.
I'm a piler. Like, I just I shove.
I'm like, what is this?
I shove and pile things.
Like, why do we have this in here? Why are your childhood toys in here? You're never gonna go through these again. Like, what is the deal?
Isn't that a normal thing for people to keep their stuff from when they're a kid?
Well, it might be normalized and it might be a thing, but it's dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb.
It's really,
I agree
really
with
dumb.
that.
If you have your childhood toys still, throw them away.
I'll be like taking them to my parents, and like because they have a lot more storage, and I'm just gonna take them to them and be like, "Hey, do you want to save this or not?" Because we have like no storage.
Yeah, we're all booked up here.
Yeah, but
so I'm excited. I'm always into like the variety content idea.
Yeah,
that's why I have a million different projects, is because I don't want to just stick to one thing. So
yeah, I'm really, really excited, and like I'm just finally in a place mentally, like just a good place in my life to where I'm like, I really want to like make this a priority and do this with you, because I think it's really cool. And I think it'll be really fun.
It is fun, and I'll be different too. Like right now, I'm just kind of like in.
Well,
like there's all this stuff I wanted to talk about, and it's like this could have easily have been a conversation that would have been 3 hours.
And I
but,
feel bad because I wish I would have had more like banter to like help you out, but like I just really liked the movie. And I don't really know what else to say about it.
That's the thing is just like I'm so conflicted about how I feel because so much of it is great and so much of it is like one of a kind, like masterpiece-esque stuff.
Yeah.
But there's just so many things that are fundamentally wrong.
Right.
In my like, it's like, how can you literally not adhere to X, Y, and Z of this character that's been around for 80 plus years? Like,
I understand that,
but I'm also not opposed. I also
that.
like breathing new life into stuff, so I'm not opposed to it. So I need to watch it again to see how I really feel. You know?
And we can talk about that on the podcast too, like our second take. You know, just briefly talk about it. But yeah,
for sure. So not that we use numbers to like say definitively like, oh, like this is a 7 or an 8 or whatever, but
oh god, we're rating it
to gauge your own feeling about how you feel about it right now. What would you give it out of 10? Like 10 being nearly perfect, like this is a masterpiece. And I wouldn't say it has to be like your favorite movie of all time or anything like that, but like no, nothing is ever perfect. So 10 would be like, you know.
You're going to hate my rating.
Are you going to give it a 10?
No.
What are you going to give it?
A 9.
That's what I'm giving it.
You're giving it a 9?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a really good movie. Like, I really do.
The only reason I'm not rating it a 10 is I don't know that I would, like, want to rewatch it a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a ton of rewatchability for me. Like, the only reason I want to watch it again is to, like, get more out of it. But, like, it's not, like... Well, I don't know, actually. I was going to say I don't know if it's a movie where I'd be like, hey, you want to watch The Batman or whatever. I don't even know what it's called. What? The Batman?
The Batman.
Okay, you want to watch The Batman tonight? Like, I don't know if it's a movie like that I would want to, like, just watch again.
I feel like it's such a, you know...
It's just so intense.
It's so...
And, like... disturbing. It
is.
It's like unsettling, and that I think is the thing.
If it was a TV show, it'd be TVMA. Like for sure.
They did a really good job though at keeping it PG-13.
Yeah,
because
they did.
It would have been so easy to make it R,
totally.
like with just like all of it. But
all they had to do is throw in like one more F word, and it would have been rated R.
Well, yeah. All they had to do was show the guy's rat-eating face.
Yeah, that's true.
It would have been rated R. You know, there was just a lot of gore that they could have, which I was really glad that they kept it PG-13.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Same.
But what was my train of thought?
Why you would give it a 10 versus a 9, or why you would give it a 9 versus a 10? Is it a 9 or a 10 to you?
It's a 9.
It is a 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's perfect, but
yeah.
Like I really like it. Like I have this little journal where I like write movies that I've watched and like I rate them with like 1 to 5 stars. I'm going to give it 5 stars in my book.
Okay.
But like 5 stars, like the star scale and the 1 to 10 scale feels different to me. It just feels weird to give something a 10 unless it's like my favorite movie ever. Yeah,
I feel that for sure.
So, but it's like a 5-star movie for me.
I mean, to me,
if that makes sense.
If Robert Pattinson, if there had been more, like I can deal with the brooding, but you have to have the flip. You could have him.
I don't think I could have. I don't think I would have liked that.
Well, here's the thing:
him being like fake and stuff.
That's how he's supposed to be.
Like, no, but I wouldn't have liked that.
He's so. It's just so.
I would have hated that. Actually.
It's so. It doesn't have to be the entire time. You know, you could even show him doing something like talking to the press briefly and like putting on a face, and it would seem strange for him to do so. It'd be like, whoa, wait a minute. It's like, oh, you're crazy. Like, you're a crazy person. He is a crazy person. Like, that is the whole... And he is, like...
Yeah, but this is just the beginning. Like, I think they're going to do so much more with it. And I think that he'll become more that way as time goes on.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be broody like this the whole time. Like, at least this broody. you know. I remember what I was going to say earlier was just that like I'm a person that like loves scary movies, and like I just love that like unsettling feeling, you know. And I loved that this movie gave me that, like, from the very first scene. Like, the very first scene, I felt, like, so unsettled and, like, scared. Yeah. And I was like, this is really cool. Yeah. Like, and it felt that way, like, the whole time. Like, it was just very unsettling and, like, disturbing at times. And it sounds weird, but, like, I liked that. Like, it's a cool experience.
It just felt very... Heath Ledger's Joker is obviously incredible, but that is a very comic book aspect. You know, like very much like the DC comic live action type feel. You know, The Dark Knight probably was the perfect movie. You know, it's nearly perfect in my opinion. Like in terms of trying to combine all aspects.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch those movies now. Yeah. That I've seen this one.
We should do like reviews of all the Batman movies.
I know, but we're just coming off of, I don't know if Gabe's told you guys this yet, but you know, we were reviewing the Marvel movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like that was our guy and his wife thing that we were doing. And now he's going to be doing that with The Boys, which is totally fine. So we're not going to be reviewing the Marvel movies anymore. And so that's why we've kind of like made this switch. So I just don't want to be reviewing movies all the time on this podcast, because even though I do enjoy it, like I do feel bad because I just don't have that same critical eye that like you and your friends do. And
it's just a glorified bad opinion, you know, is all we have.
Well, I mean, I just like I'd be fine with doing that. Like we totally could do that
every once in a while.
But like I just don't want that to become what this show is. Like I don't want to be doing movie reviews every week.
Yeah,
like,
I hear that.
That's I enjoy it from time to time, but it's just not the content that I got in mind, you know?
All right, she's getting all loopy, everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
I've been loopy this whole time. I literally feel like I'm on another planet. Like, I feel like this is going to be so horrible. Like, if you guys have gotten this far...
God bless you.
And please just forget all of this, because I feel like this is horrible.
Well, there you have it. After a very mixed review for the both of us, we both have settled on a 9 for different reasons.
I'm just so surprised you rated it a 9. After all of that.
It's a great movie, but...
it kind of irritates me.
My personal opinion doesn't supersede the objectivity. Like, is it a good movie? I think it's a very good movie.
What is it to you, though? Is it a 9 to you?
Yes, the movie is a 9 to me. But he is not a good Bruce Wayne, and he's did some cool things as Batman. He's not a good Bruce Wayne at all at this point in time.
Maybe I should rate it a 10, because I feel like I liked the movie way more than you, and it just feels weird that we rated it the same.
Yeah.
But, oh well.
Yeah. Like I said, hard on it. All right, we're saying goodnight, ladies and gentlemen. I got to edit this thing and put it out. So, say goodbye, babe.
Okay, bye, guys. I love you, and I hope you come back, and please don't hate me after this.
All right. See you guys later.
Okay, bye.